Well, employers have been on this journey, from the start of COVID, where they didn't know what to do at first, and so they moved everybody remote. Let's say the first 60 days, these multi-billion-dollar companies who were never exposed to this type of approach. And then as the pandemic lingered and they thought, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, they can move them back. They were forced to shift their whole mentality around it. While candidates had no choice, they had to work remote anyway, so candidates, they've changed what they want from their work-life balance, period. So most people that we speak to, whether it is an executive or somebody coming out of school, they need to work remote. So there isn't in their mind that they want to do hybrid or they will be in a building anymore. It's just not even there. So employers have had a big decision plop in front of their laps that they weren't expecting. And the ones that continue to resist it, going 100% remote, are losing out on talent. It's very black and white. And the ones that are open to, employees working remotely, they're winning. And that's the bottom line. And we don't even take on searches if a customer or employer is so strict on it, because we know we're not going to have success, even though the pandemic is, getting lighter and drifting away. It's just where we've gone. So it's essential.
So this is no longer a kind of a nice to have. Like, you literally can't win in the marketplace for talent if you have a position that could be remote and you're not allowing it to be remote. Is that what you're saying? That's
what I'm saying. And I'm saying this is not a pandemic thing anymore. This is a change in a movement that's happened as a result of the pandemic, where people didn't realize how their lives could be. And now that they've identified that life can work in such a beautiful way, while killing it in the office, but still being at home and going for a workout or whatever they're doing, they don't want it the other way. And why should they? So I don't have a single employer that's not adapting to this. I mean, even companies with massive, thousands and thousands and billions of dollars. The only thing that I've seen where it's required is manufacturing, where the workers have to go in, and be on the line. But other than that, it's not even been an issue after the employers went through that transition. What do we do? And it took them some time, but now they're not even discussing going back to the office, not even discussing it. They're like, it's remote. We're just remote. So
in some, I think teams in particular, it can be a little challenging for certain aspects, like I think most work can be done pretty well remotely. It seems to me like kind of brainstorming sessions and strategic planning, maybe two exceptions where there's just something about sharing a physical space.
Yeah.
How often do you see candidates that are kind of aware of that, and where they, like when you're saying, fully remote, is that like, basically you're always working remote, but do you know that there's going to be some meetings like that at some point?
Right. That's fine. Everybody, I mean, that's a known thing. You got to go in, even for a monthly, like you're saying, for brainstorming or monthly meetings, whatever it might be, fly out for quarterlies. Yeah. People aren't that stingent. And if they are, it's a total turnoff to us. Like, we're like, all right, come on, you're on the other spectrum here now. But yeah, for the most part, people are flexible, and that's happening. Those types of things are happening. So, which is good. But what I mean is the day-to-day, not having to be into an office day-to-day to do your.
So the vast majority of your time working is flexible. It's not I got to commute 40 minutes in
Right.
crappy traffic, and then you have death by meeting all day. You know?
Right. And you know
Yeah.
what's interesting is that because we have these leases that these companies have, and they haven't let go of the leases, and say they have a 5-year, 9-year lease or something, the culture now is so against where the culture has naturally shifted with the climate, where they're like creating a culture for the lease, for the building, not for the people. So it's a huge problem, and it's so obvious when that happens because the market is so resistant to going into the office day to day. So it's, like I said, I think I began with this topic with, if you're not accepting remote work, you're losing top talent.
Now, just I saw a little gem in there that I want to go just a little bit deeper on. So what I think I heard you say was there are organizations that, you know, they kind of envisioned their culture being built around what it was like in the office, different type of perks in the office. Maybe they have a gym in the building or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're now realizing that nobody cares about
Right.
that, right? But they're not letting go of this idea of like, hey, you know, we have this great culture. Look at what our office is like. So
Right.
what I'm hearing you saying is that as leaders, we should probably be shifting our attention away from how do we make an environment that seems very attractive in an office to how do we create a team culture that is helping people to thrive without the office, because
Right.
very few people are going to want the office experience ever again.
I know.
Right. So is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? Like we should be
That's
shifting
what
our
I'm saying.
focus away from that mentality.
Right. And it's hard to do if they've got these leases for years. It's a lot of money, you know, if they can't get out of it. So I understand that they're not ready to let go of that, you know, but it's a cultural dilemma, you know, when it comes to hiring, that they're either going to stick to it, you know, and not have the talent, or they're going to offer remote access. So,
well, that is a classic example of the sunk cost bias. You're not going to get out of that lease. So, and that's why I wanted to clarify, right? Is we can't get out of the lease if we have one.
right.
So that money's gone. So now the question is, do we continue to waste time and money building an office environment that nobody cares about, or we divert those resources towards, well, how do we make the best remote workplace culture that we can make so that we're really attractive to candidates? And that's what I wanted to clarify, is that's what you're seeing, right? Is the organizations that are getting that are the ones that are having better success recruiting.
Yes. 100%. Yes. So,
all right.
It's pretty interesting, huh?
That is very interesting. It is tough. I think we humans are very, from my experience, we're very vulnerable to a variety of cognitive biases, and the sunk cost bias is one of the ones we fall prey to the most, you know, where you say like, but we've got this 7-year lease and we're paying this and that and the other thing. Yeah, but who cares? Like, if you keep wasting money trying to make that look nice, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So we have to focus elsewhere. So maybe, do you have like, what's one just gem that you've seen if somebody who's really made that shift, they've got a lease and they said, hey, there's no sense diverting resources to making a nice office environment. What's something that you've seen that's just has been really attractive to candidates from a remote standpoint? Like, how do they make a remote culture attractive? Not just because everyone knows like, okay, I get to work in my pajamas, blah, blah, blah. But what about like, how do I interact with other A players, or, you know, how am I getting coached on my career? Just have you seen any like thing that just kind of stands out to you for somebody that just makes a remote culture seem even more attractive than the competitors who also have a remote culture?
Sure. Well, somebody coached me actually this year on this very thing. Okay. And they said that people just want to be heard, period, whether you're remote or not. But for remote people, they want to feel part of the team, period. And if they can feel a part of the team, then it does wonders for, you know, their psyche, their positive energy, and just how they feel about the overall organization. So we do some things that are pretty cool. Like every Monday we do a kickoff. The entire organization is together and we talk about each person's grows and glows from last week. So tell us what your glow was and tell us what your grow was. So what do you want to work on and what were you proud of? And we all go around and we talk about it before we get to the nuts and bolts, of the projects that we're working on, just to hear from people and make sure that they know they're being heard as well. So that's pretty big. And then I do Uber Eats for my team. We've got a weekly budget for everybody who works for me, and they can do what they want with it. And when we have our monthly meetings, I double that, for them, because they're on Zoom, for almost a full day with the whole team. So we all order the lunch at the same time and we're sitting here talking and things of that nature. But we get together a lot. We're constantly on instant messenger too, like putting funny memes or, saying something goofy about something that just happened or sharing a win that just happened, and giving each other praises. It's pretty insane. So like the positivity, I'd say, culturally on our team is pretty high.